we are, working with today. Emmanuel Effiong Bright is an idea strategist, versatile creator, and business trainer. He is the mind behind imagination and ideas to solutions incubator, established to assist organizations and individuals live their visions. The award-winning business graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Nigeria, started out his career at Markford Consulting and left as head of training functions to join independent newspapers as pioneer coordinator. Okay, something came up on my phone and took that away.
I left my $1 billion empire.
Okay. Okay. He left as head of training functions to join independent newspapers as pioneer coordinator of the management series project. The project enjoyed the partnership of top consulting brands like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Phillips Consulting, Lagos Business School, NIIT, and Faith Foundation. He helped clinch the Nigeria Merit Award twice in 3 years. As an idea strategist, eBright has invested in skills in the brand development consulting space, partnering with leading lights in media, marketing, communication, and execution. His resume boasts projects and initiatives developed, executed, and managed by organizations like Effiong, ICO Group, Bank of Agriculture, Southwest Technologies, and CIBN, just to mention a few. He has served as consultant trainer on World Bank, Ekiti State Government Water Resource Program, as well as consultant on Enable, a DFID-funded business advocacy program designed to increase the quality and quantity of marketing reform by building the ability of government ministries and departments and agencies to dialogue with the private sector in Nigeria. Emmanuel has successfully designed and co-designed learning interventions for Total, E&P, LM Ericsson, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, First Bank, Wema Bank, UAC, NBC, Glow, and Nestle. He leadership academies like the Works Leadership Academy, Headstone Entrepreneurship College, and Leading Ladies Business School. His facilitation thought includes, but is not limited to, creative thinking and problem solving, team building and bonding, product and service development, effective business communication, leadership workplace effectiveness, personal branding and self-leadership, and entrepreneurship development. eBright is a one-time recipient of Ahmadu Bello University Business School Award for creativity, and also a one-time winner of the Dubai VBT Championship, which he won in the United Arab Emirates. When his name's bowling, copy content writing, working on community development projects, and designing clothing collections like this. His clothing and lifestyle brand, Imagination Clothium, and the Afrofusion project has designed collections for MTN, Acumen West Africa, Change.org, NBC, Corporate Affairs Commission, NASCO, Federal Government of Nigeria, Corona Schools, amongst many others. Emmanuel is a mentor at HIPP and the lead Champions at Friends Connect is not a not-for-profit growth network that seeks to help members integrate their business career with their faith. Welcome with me, Bright, as he speaks to us today on supernatural intelligence. Please, let's give him a warm welcome. Mr. Emmanuel, so glad to have you. You made
I'm
it.
excited.
Thank
I'm
you.
sleepy, but very excited to be here.
We can't hear you, though.
It's on. I'm on mute. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
So can everyone hear me? I'm on mute. Yes. You
can hear him.
We can hear.
Please go
ahead.
Yes,
We can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you can hear him, sir, please go ahead. Maybe it's my own end. I will sort it out. Yes.
Good morning, good
stage,
afternoon, good evening from whatever part of the world you are in. I'm excited to be here. If I knew she was going to read that long version of the profile. Okay, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Bright. For short, if I knew she was going to read that long version of my profile, I would have given her just one paragraph. I thought she was going to give me a global job, some big consulting job. So I sent her that profile. She should have shortened it. But I'm excited to be here. Like most of you, I know your weekend has been quite busy, back to back, but you still made out time to be here. I'm honored to speak this evening for several reasons. The interesting thing, as we'd see in the course of the discourse, is sometimes you get ideas, thoughts that line up back to back, 1, 2, 3, 4, within a short period of time. And you're asking yourself what nature of coincidence is happening. It's been the same thing with me over the last 1, 2 months. Almost every topic I've been asked to speak about has to do with creativity, problem solving, one kind of intelligence or the other. But again, it means for me to be called to speak on that topic in this particular forum, wonderful forum, it means it's about time for someone to have some kind of spiritual awakening. Now, it's not a spooky session. I'll try to be as practical as possible. And I would use the terms that I ought to use, where I ought to use them. And if my mind, for one reason, skips a particular term, I'd like you to, help me think, because I'll be speaking in a language where most of us will be familiar with. Let me place a disclaimer way ahead to say that I am not a professor of spiritual intelligence. I wish I was, but I'm not a professor of spiritual intelligence. I don't even have a master's degree in spiritual intelligence, but I would say I'm an astute student of spiritual intelligence. I've studied it over the years based on my personal experience and experience of people that I know. And I would say to you, it's something you should give a particular thought to. Interestingly, a lot of people on this forum would have the capacity and capability for it. But then there's the issue of time. In a highly distracting world such that we have, it becomes more difficult to hone your spiritual intelligence. But be that it may, would lay a foundation, share some stories upon which we'll build any other framework, any other thoughts that we would talk about. Let me quickly start with what I'll call the definition. People have various definitions for spiritual intelligence. The philosopher will talk about spiritual intelligence in a different term. A spiritual leader will talk about it in a different term. And then you have people who are of different traditional leanings. They would like to see spiritual intelligence from different angles. And that's why you hear words like God. And some people rather use the word universe. Some people rather use the term interconnectedness of the world to explain or express some kind of body or some kind of notion of a being. that is higher than humans, and we are relating with that being. Because again, if you're to speak about the world, we still have people who insist that human beings came out of evolution. Some people who insist that God created. There are some arguments that will never be stale. If you're a Nigerian, Wizkid versus Davido, that argument will never grow old. The next generation will pick up another musician and artist and they'll argue is better. If you're a football fan, it will always be Messi and Ronaldo. And then recently, Rodri and Vini. There will always be sides. And people base these sides on practical knowledge, superficial knowledge, even spiritual knowledge. And they'll make arguments that will all seem right. But I'm trying to create a background for what we're talking about. What is spiritual intelligence? Spiritual intelligence refers to a hypothetical form of intelligence that transcends human cognitive abilities. I'll take that again, and then I'll take the keywords. Supernatural intelligence refers to a hypothetical form of intelligence that transcends human cognitive abilities. So keywords for me there is transcends and human cognitive ability. And then, of course, when we talk about human cognitive ability, we'll go straight to things like attention, your, working memory, your planning, decision memory, ability to solve problems, basically things that everyone should be used to. But then we're talking about spiritual intelligence. It will make a lot of sense to talk about other kinds of intelligence as a pointer to where we are going to. So if we know other forms of intelligence that are non-spiritual, then we'll be able to take the discourse of spiritual intelligence a lot further. And because of my time, I tried to create a framework where I'd run faster and not speak out of scope for those that are listening. Okay, so I would say from my structure that I have here, some of you are used to, or you know what's called the Howard Gardner's theory of intelligence, right? And it's clear. He tries to put the different kinds of intelligence in different groups. And so some of you fall between the different groups that I'm mentioning. Some people fall in more than 2-3 particular groups that I'll be mentioning. But it's important, and for me, very so, that we get to a point where we can interconnect, right? Where we can lace all these different levels of spiritual intelligence to maximize life. And I'll explain to you. In some organizations, okay, let me scrap that. If you live in Africa, for example, you'll see someone that maybe dropped out of primary school, elementary school. And so when they are discussing topics that are higher than elementary school, they cannot connect. But they could be spiritually intelligent. But how do you communicate the spiritual to people that are maybe spatially or more linguistically intelligent than you? So you see the need to be to harness other forms of intelligence so that you can maximize the spiritual intelligence side of you. So I'll just look to Howard Gardner's theory of mental intelligence and look at a few groups so we know where to proceed from. So you have your musical intelligence, your ability to read notes. Some people are musically unintelligent. There's no rhythm. When they're dancing to the left, people are going to the right. They are tone deaf, right? Some people are just sharp, intelligent. They know how to interpret and the advantages. You have spatial intelligence, where people will be able to think and visualize in three dimensions. You have interpersonal intelligence, more like emotional intelligence. Some people will be speaking in public as public speakers. They'll be speaking for over 2 hours. The audience is tired. They want to go home. Someone that is interpersonally intelligent can read the audience and say, it's time to end this speech wherever it is. Someone that is not to keep talking, regardless of the body language of anybody, just keep talking. It means they are not interpersonally intelligent. You have the linguistic intelligence. Some people can speak different languages, communication. You have logical intelligence. You have interpersonal intelligence. You have naturalistic intelligence. You have the kinesthetic, different kinds of intelligence, right? But the bulk of them seem to bother on what is natural. Don't forget the definition where we came from, that the intelligence we are talking about is beyond the natural. We are talking about spiritual intelligence, right? Now, I'll bring up 1 or 2 things that will pop up, or pops up from time to time when people talk about spiritual intelligence. People want to know things like deja vu, right? I started hearing about the word deja vu when I was still a kid, you know, and then they'll say, oh, this is a deja vu and all those stuff. It will interest you to know that even the subject of deja vu is still a subject of contention between philosophers, pastors, imams, and even the traditional rulers. Different definitions. The scientists will even argue that when you talk about deja vu, it's simply parts of the brain misfiring. So it looks as if you're experiencing something twice. And then the spiritualists will argue and say, wow, the fact that that's happened, you're thinking about it twice, or the fact that you're thinking about it before it happens, or the fact that what is happening to you looks like something that's happened in the past is a pointer to some levels of spiritual awakening. So it tells you to open your heart because something's about to happen. My argument for that is whatever works for you may not be an explanation for somebody else. The fact that I may have a spiritual intercourse with a being that's higher than me and I get results does not invalidate the fact that you are having some kind of spiritual intercourse with another kind of being. It may be a god, it may be an alien. But what I'll be speaking today is what I have experienced. I haven't experienced some alien intercourse. I haven't experienced maybe universe intercourse. I prefer to talk about the kind that I've experienced, and then I'll give you stories for you to decide if it is purely physical, logical, or something spiritual. And in the course of this discourse, I'd like to encourage you. I put up a post on WhatsApp trying to explain to people to come into this forum. And I said there are some things that you can never explain. There are things that are hidden to Harvard professors. There are things that are hidden to industry eggheads, the big boys. They can't discern it. But guess what? Such things may be open to house helps. And by house helps, I'm not demeaning their intelligence. Gatesmen, the guy at your security gate, he may not be able to communicate it, but he just has a knowing. I just know. And some people say, I heard something said because they cannot say exactly what they are experiencing. So I'll just share characteristic of spiritual intelligence, and then we'll delve into the stories, my personal experience. Again, disclaimer, not your personal experience, my personal experience, and I'll tell you my thoughts on that, and then we'll begin to wrap up. So if it's got to be spiritual intelligence, it's got to be transcendent, means beyond limits of human intelligence, beyond the limits of natural laws and physical constraints. If it's got to be spiritual intelligence, it's got to be non-physical, right? Not bound by laws of physics and material world. Now, here's where I'm going to. So if it's not bound by the law of physics or material world, have people introduced subjects like metaphysics to better explain the topic of spiritual intelligence? I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that by introducing subjects like metaphysics and other disciplines, man is attempting to explain sometimes what is inexplicable, but that is understandable. When man cannot explain some concepts, some ideas, some tools, they tend to spiritualize. That's what someone said. But for us, like I said, and that's why I started with different types of intelligence, it's for us to have a balance so that we can make the most of the different intelligence. And then it must be omnipotent, that be capable of manipulating or influencing events and circumstances and reality. A being, a body, some kind of environment, some kind of happenstance that has the capacity to influence what happens in the physical. Not physical affecting physical, spiritual affecting physical. So that's what we're talking about. And I love the fact, several years ago, I started studying about spiritual capital. You know, you have money capital, you have social capital, spiritual capital. And the beautiful thing is with spiritual capital, it talks about your identity as it ties to your core values. And then for some people, it begins to talk about the concept of love. So even on the platform of loving humanity, you can get certain messages, certain levels of intelligence, because what you're seeking for is beyond you. It's for people. So your level of intelligence begins to expand because you're seeking the better good of people, whether by in terms of just communicating to them or goods of services. And this is to encourage someone out there. Love is a religion, a big religion. If you open your heart to the good of humanity, you are creating access to spiritual capital as it were. Okay. So spiritual dimensions to thinking, I've talked about that. Beliefs, purpose, life visits, identity, and the likes. Now let me talk about something that is key. You must have experienced it. You have people who have billions in their accounts in Naira, or millions in dollars, or whatever denomination you're using. And you have some, not all, I don't want to use a canopy description. You have people, some of them are restless. They are not happy. So many things. It could actually be the fact that their business is not running the way it's supposed to run, so they could feel bad about certain things, but they're not just excited. And someone will say, the fact that you have money does not make you happy. Let me counter that. Whether I have money or not, you could be happy, but I prefer to have money. It makes you happier. But that's not where I'm going to. Here's where I'm going to. Yet you see some individuals, they don't have much, but you can almost language read some level of peace and happiness that they exude. Levels of peace and happiness, people that are even too rich cannot even comprehend. The kind of happiness that you'd walk up to somebody and say, I'm aware of your situation, and I know you don't have much. What I cannot explain is the countenance of joy that I know you're not trying to fake it. Where is it coming from? And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that person has happened, not all, some of them must have happened upon a level of knowledge that you cannot relate to the natural. So the things that are happening in the natural does not necessarily distort or disturb them, because they've accessed a level of intelligence called spiritual intelligence, and by level of knowledge, they know what someone does not know. It speaks to the confidence that happens, for example, when someone is in a building and fire is happening, or the building is being robbed, and people are running away and helter and skelter, and you have this calm person here. I'm not saying all situations, just calm, and you cannot explain. There's chaos. Why are you, what's happening? Why are you so calm? You should be running. The person perhaps has access to a level of knowledge that tells him, look, just stay put. It won't last long. They'll leave. I've shared some of my experience, like I said, and then I think it's beyond the natural for many. They are actually spiritual, and then we can think along those lines, and then we'll begin to wrap up, like I said. So one day, I'm married to a kind of woman that her level of contentment, I don't understand. I think she's just excited. I think she's made a life out of trying to be content about everything. And I recall one particular time I said, look, we needed to change our car or get another car. And she said, no, I said, look, stop all these things you're talking about. We need to get, okay, so what kind of car would you love? And she said, she called the brand of the car, and then she called the color of the car. So I like to go on retreats. You'll see that the aspect of spiritual intelligence that is tied to people use retreat to, I would say, withdrawing yourself so that you can have some level of peace and then be able to interact. Now, that does not mean some people cannot interact in the midst of chaos. Some people thrive well when there's so much noise, they can still hear. And while I was there talking about it, I got to this point where I was relating with a being that's higher than myself, and we got talking. Real talk. And this being, we are having a conversation, and he says, what kind of car do you really want? I can give it to you. And I'm almost saying a brand new car, but my mind can't carry it several years ago. So I said, if you give me a grade A second-hand car, grade A, I'm going to love it. I'll be glad. And then I'm okay with it. That's conversation going on. What color would you like? I'm fine with green. Sorry, army green. And this particular car, you'd have to see 100 in other colors before you see one army green. Gets close. Up for my retreat. I'm back to town, trying to do my normal job and all those stuff. So I go to a particular supplier, and he's kind of delaying. So I said, okay, while I wait for you to bring my supplies, let me go check out one street in this corner and just take a stroll around and come back. So I fork left, move right, and I turn right. There is a gray color of that car sitting down somewhere and for sale written on it. Because it's not the color that my wife will love, I said, let me just go ahead since I have so much time in my hands, and let's just chat with the owner of this car. So I asked the person, how much is it? He calls one funny amount and all those stuff. I say, well, I was not looking for this model. I was just looking at it, what the price is like. While I'm discussing with that man, an army green model of that car drives past, goes past me, takes a close look at me, talking about that car. And the person pauses in the middle and then gestures to me, wants to talk to me. I saw you looking at that car. That particular brand is not the best. It will give you problems. This particular one, the person that bought it newly, but had to relocate to the US. It's been in the garage for a long time. So I said, let me just drive out today, wash it and just get it back to the garage so it does not get covered in dust. And I saw you talking to that person. If you're interested, you could have the car if we reach terms. Before asking, he opens the engine, clean engine, get into the car, turn the steering. Bottom line, we got that car for a fraction of the cost it will have cost us. Is this spiritual enough for you? I don't know. Is it a coincidence for many? Maybe. But let's look at another one. So, I'm in church. When I use the word church, you begin to get a leaning as to the kind of person that I am. I am not a religious person. I don't like religion. I came from a spooky white garment background. So when I say I've seen all kinds of gimmicks. I'm the kind of person that's straightforward. You won't tell me, you won't blow into the wind and say, and I fall down. I won't fall down for you. Something has to move me to fall down. I won't fall down. Not that kind of person. So I have a challenge at workplace. And I know what, let me go to my usual environment where I want to think clearly. One of my environments will be church. I walk into church and I say, no what, I won't feel down. I'll change my countenance, be as excited as possible. So I walk into church, I'm as excited as possible. I'm happy, I'm jumping, having all the fun in the world. So you won't even know that this person has a huge problem. In the course of service, while I'm sitting down, a note gets passed to me, a note. Who sent this note? Nobody can tell, but it came from the right side to the left. And I open the note, and the note says, paraphrasing, it doesn't matter what you're going through. I know you're going through some deep problem, but I just want you to know that God knows what it's all about and He'll resolve it in good time. Some kind of tears started dropping in my eye. You won't understand until you experience it. Number one, I wasn't looking sad. Number two, there was nothing to show that was in a kind of any problem. In fact, let's say I was pretending to be happy. But then how does this person get this intelligence? Where does this person source this spiritual intelligence enough to know that this excited person has an issue? So service closes, we're on the queue, going out, and the person says, did you get the note? I say, yes. I said, did you send it? Say, yes. She says, I was in a dilemma because you didn't look like someone that has an issue. But I had an instruction to send you something. And I wrote that same note. Exactly how I got it to you. Did it make sense? I said, I can't talk about it. All I can tell you is that wherever you tap that knowledge from, that has solved a year-long problem for me. Is it spiritual? Is it normal? I don't know about you. I'm speaking about the things that I have experienced. So, on this particular day, I'm walking on the road, one of the roads in Nigeria. I have so many on the road. And then broad daylight, say about 2 p.m. This light hits me on the road, broad daylight. It's so hard, like a light that's coming from the sky. I'm almost falling into a gutter because I cannot understand. With that light comes a picture of a jacket, a special field jacket. Out of the confusion and this somewhat Damascus experience, if you know what I'm talking about, I cross the road. Interestingly, just opposite the road is a jacket, the same one I saw in the picture. And I asked a question, please, can I get this kind of jacket? That's probably before we started getting into jackets. We now do jackets as a business and we send around the world. And the person says, sorry, I can't get you this, but I can ask for someone that can get you this jacket. And the person says, how many quantity do you want? And I open my mouth. I said between 100 and 150. 150 if you want. And I go past that. That experience is gone. I'm working the next day or the second day. I get a call from outside Lagos where I reside. And he says, sorry, do you make jackets? And I ask, what kind of jackets are you talking about? And the person describes the exact jacket that I saw the previous day in a blinding light hitting me. And I ask, how many quantity are you looking at? Okay, this is where it gets interesting. 150. 150 was the list. We did multiple jobs, 7 figures for that client. I'll take one more, 2 more, and then we'll begin to wrap up. So, back in the days, my wife was a student. I got married to my wife as a final year student. If you're in Nigeria, ASU issues, ASU kept postponing. I said, you know what? I'm tired of these lecturers or the governments having strikes. I want to marry my wife. I set the date. You are dragging my marriage date. Whether you are on strike or not, I'm going to marry my wife on this particular date. So we get married. My wife is still writing her project when she's pregnant. So we need to manage our resources. So she gets to the car park and needs to do a journey from the east to Lagos. from the eastern Nigeria to Lagos. And she gets into a vehicle. The vehicle is almost full, so it's a plus for her that she gets into that particular vehicle, right? They're about to move from the vehicle, and she suddenly hears a voice, get out of that bus right now. She turns around, and the voice comes again, get out of that bus right now. She knows if she misses that bus, that's the last bus that's heading to Lagos. What does she do? Out of the fear and the sound of what she heard, she told the man in charge, give me back my money. I'm not getting into this vehicle again. And the person says, no, we refuse. We cannot give you. You've already bought the tickets. We cannot refuse. And a pregnant woman, my wife was pregnant then, comes out of the vehicle and says, if you don't give me back my money, I'm going to cause a scene here. I'm going to call students from the campus to just, by the way, my wife is a peace-loving person. I'm just saying that she had to create some level of chaos there for her to get back her money. She gets back her money. And then she sees another vehicle that was not supposed to go. But then she joins, luckily. So they are 3 hours behind this vehicle that's already loaded that she disembarks from. Not quite 30 minutes from where she was, she sees people disembarking from buses in front. All buses are in front, cars are disembarked. And they're all looking at a gully, deep down a valley. So the driver parks. The driver of a now new vehicle parks. And then they go down to check the vehicle that had fallen down in the canyon, in the valley, in the gully, whatever I choose to call it. Guess what? It was the vehicle that my wife was supposed to board, and she had get out of that vehicle. Every single human being in that bus died. Is that supernatural intelligence? I don't know. The voice she heard, is it supernatural? Scientists will argue, traditionalists will argue, but she said she heard a voice that over time she had known to become the voice of God telling her, disembark, and she did. I'm just sharing some of the experiences that I've gotten. I'll share one more. So I am in this forum, I'm sitting down on a particular day like this, and then someone is talking, a mentor of mine is talking, and then he says, listen to what he says. He says, before the end of next week, so end of next week, beginning of the week is Sunday, you have Saturday, says before the end of next week, you're going to get a call from someone who knows you, who has introduced you to someone who doesn't know you. And it's going to be a big call. End of the week, he or she says. And then I wait. Monday, no, I'm not waiting. I'm going about my business. I mean, anyone could have said it, even my mentor. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, life is just going on. Week is winding down. Thursday, I get a call from someone that has not spoken to me in more than a decade. Hello, Emmanuel. Can I have your CV? My CV for what? I'm talking to, let me use that terminology in Nigeria. I'm speaking to a commissioner right now in my state. I told him or her, let me try to be honest, him or her about you, what you do, and he would like to see you. Can you send me your CV, a short profile, and how soon can you fly over? Anyways, bottom line, this person had not spoken with me in a long while, called me before the end of the week, spoke to the commissioner about me, and in time, I found myself sitting with a state governor, making a presentation to a state governor. I'm just saying that there are dimensions that you cannot explain. It's not natural. Now I'm talking about the workplace because there has to be practicality. It's not just about church or you go to your native place. I'm sitting down and I hear something says, there's a name. Someone I've not seen in a long time. I hear a name. It says, go and see this person. That's a loud voice. And I turn around. Who's talking to me? Because I have learned how this intelligence thing works. I go to see the person and say, sorry, I've not seen in a long while. But I was sitting down and I heard your name so loudly in my ear. And I thought it's time to see you. And he says, interestingly, I've been looking for someone to handle this topic. You didn't come to mind. Welcome to the group. That was a big opening in my life. Friends, spiritual intelligence can create an opening in your life that levels of natural intelligence cannot access. And these things are in levels. Are you willing to hone them? Are you willing to open your heart to them? Or are you the kind of person that is just cool with having spiritualists? fake prophets tell you things they have gleaned from Facebook about you, and then you believe and spend your money. It's got to be higher than that. You're a higher being. There are beings, or there is a being that's willing to communicate to you about this world, about your life, about the things happening, because this world is not just physical. I just thought I'd just bring that to your awakening. And so one of my special scriptures I love would be the scripture in Matthew 7:7-8. You already know my leaning, how I relate to my own spiritual intelligence with the being I relate. I call him God, and I rely on the intelligence of the Holy Spirit. I believe God has a son. I believe there's a place of the Holy Spirit 3 in 1. I believe all of that. Now, this does not cut away what you believe. I'm just speaking about my belief, and I'm using it as an example to talk about what I. And then sorry, I'm trying to. Let me slow down a bit, because I tend to think faster than I talk. So in Matthew 7:8 talks about asking, seeking, and knocking. So we have a generation of people who just ask. By ask, I'll be talking about prayer. They just pray, they just talk, and that's just it. Nothing more. They do not act, right? They do not act at all. But I've learned to ask in prayer. I've learned to seek. I don't joke with research. Maybe you've heard a bit about my profile. I believe in research. So if you're just spiritually intelligent, you're not used to researching things. There's a problem. You're operating in a much more lower level. But then there's another one. So there's asking prayer, there's a seeking, researching, which by the way means research, search again. And then there's the knocking, taking action. Many people do not operate in that dimension. Now, I talked about the fact that it would be great if you can tie your natural thinking, cognitive abilities with the supernatural or your supernatural intelligence. It will go a long way. So let me try and do an exercise for you on how I think and why some people think I'm weird. But I'm happy I'm weird because I get weird results from how I think. So if you go to a scripture that talks, Proverbs 6:6, some of you are conversant with it if you're a scripture kind of person. It says, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. Now, this instruction can work for anybody because it's a lesson, it's something, inspiration, it's something you can learn from. The person that's operating in a lower level of thinking will say, go to the ants. Okay. The answer is already provided in the next chapter. It says, so you can consider our ways, and then when it's summer, you can, get your goods on time so you don't have to go through stress and all that. Normal thinking. But someone else is thinking beyond that. They're saying, go to the ants. This scripture is telling me to go to unusual places, right? And watch the ants closely and do something unusual. So that scripture is saying, go do the unusual, go to unusual places, do unusual things, right? And then consider its ways and be wise. There's a wisdom that comes from that. Now, someone else has gone. That side is gone. But someone else is applying another dimension of thinking. Maybe the spiritual intelligence just hits a person. It is not even in the book that's supposedly a book of spiritual intelligence. This is someone getting what some people may say a rema, or something just hits you, and you're trying to solve a business problem, practically speaking. So you say, go to the ants. There are different kinds of ants, different kind of species of ants. I have a product problem I'm not selling in the market. Could this idea of different species of ants mean I should break my product into different categories? Yeah, that could be an idea. So if I'm selling some kind of soft drink, I could dilute it and sell a softer version. I could make it more conk and sell a bigger version. I could make it more, add some more fruits and make it more expensive. So I have different categories of goods that will open up the market. Someone could say, okay, ants are of different sizes. That means I should have a bigger and smaller category of markets, or have marketers that speak to bigger categories of markets or the smaller categories. Could that mean the 80-20 rule? Could I keep people to talk to my 20% and keep another people to talk to my 80, knowing fully well if the right people, my 20, can convert and get me a new level of 80? A spiritual knowledge might hit someone and say, wait, ants sting. If an ant stings a human being who is 1,000 or 1 million size of it, the human being feels the impact. Is there an idea, a sting idea I can bring to the market that once I hit the market, every person, no matter the size in the market, will feel the impact? Someone else will say, the problem I'm facing at work is a problem of division of labor. Come to think of it, ants have division of labor. You have the queen, right? Just laying eggs. You have soldiers, yeah? You have workers. You know what? Maybe I have a problem with my breaking down responsibilities. Maybe I need to do more of teamwork. That could be a spiritual dimension for someone. Someone else can also increase their creative intelligence. I'm just saying, don't limit yourself. Most of us are loaded with different kinds of intelligence, but we are just more concerned about the book knowledge. I can read, I can write, I can speak. There are different aspects to you that you cannot even explain. And I think you should explain that. I hope I'm making sense to someone. Am I making some sense to somebody? Please let me know if I'm making some sense.
Yes, you are.
Okay, are we making some sense? Okay, fine. I'm beginning to wrap up gradually, right? So, someone is asking, how do I get that kind of intelligence? How do I access that kind of intelligence? Here's what I think. The fact that you think you need to access that kind of intelligence is in itself a limitation, because you already have that intelligence. Every human being is spiritually intelligent. What you're probably asking me is, how can I move my intelligence to the next level? Now we can talk. Because if you do not know that you have the mental bandwidth, the intelligence bandwidth to take in more, you can't take in more. First of all, you need an open mind. Yeah, you need an open mind. If your mind is just about church, you don't know about other traditions, you don't know about other religions, you're just close to them, there's a problem. By the way, the same way you experience the spiritual side, other religions experience it. Other religions experience that kind of intelligence, right? So open your mind, try to learn from different people. Open books about people who have experienced such. Try to learn, is there an idea? Now, let me talk about this side right now, because, you know, people have argued. The fifth sense or intuition, that thing is powerful. It's a gift. But people have made an argument and said, you know what? What you call fifth sense or intuition is actually processed intelligence. I agree. In other words, there's a step you take that you've never taken before, but you take it and it becomes right. Because over time, you found yourself in different situations that are like that, or almost like that. And you took different steps that was leading to that particular situation where you thought you were intuitive or were intuitive and it worked for you. Yes, it exists. But please, spiritual intelligence exists. There are people that are operating beyond the normal. They are accessing whatever they're accessing via the universe, via God, via other kinds of intelligence. Next thing you need is a relationship with what other being you're connecting with. Relationship. So if nature is your higher being, then go to a place that's filled with nature. Go hang around. You have problems, stop sitting in the middle of the problem. Go to the beach. Some people perform better when they're in quiet places. Go to a garden. Chill, relax. Are you the kind of person that's trying to combine your musical intelligence with the spiritual? It therefore means you thrive better and you're able to think more spiritually intelligent when there's music around you. What kind of music do you love? Is it gospel music? Is it rock? What makes you connect with a higher being? These are things that you need to do. Now, let me talk about something that's often abused. Fasting. It's interesting to know that fasting is not just limited to the Christian sect or Christian religion. Almost all religions fast. And by definition, it means keeping yourself away from the natural things that normally should impede upon the spiritual access. Do that. But it's not about starving yourself for food. That's not just fasting. Keeping yourself away for some time from the things that are called physical food or any other thing that will impede on the spiritual. Do that if it works for you. Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 2 times in a month. But make sure you come away with instructions and then you get it as much as you can. Let me share one experience. And then I was given 1 hour. I don't know how long please, can I know how long I've been? I don't know how long I've been. but I'll give one experience, and then I'll see how far we can go. So I talked about being open-minded. You want to access. So by being open-minded, you've heard that an a closed mouth is a closed destiny. I say a closed mind is a closed destiny. Open your mind. I'm talking about access to a being that is higher than you, constant access. Beyond access, you have to have a relationship, right? I've talked about fasting. I've talked about the praying aspect. And then the state of your mind, I'll repeat that again. So I got a call. Yeah, I have 10 minutes more. Thank you. I got a call from a particular lady. I won't mention her name. I don't mention name. A distress call. Please come around. Come around. I'm not everything. Come around. I need your help. Just come around. Come around. Things are not fine. So I rushed to the house, and we're in the house. I don't know who's on this call, who's not on the call. When I'm talking, I don't want a situation where someone knows the person that knows the person. But I'll try to hide as much as I can. Oh, terrible state. Terrible state. Not just physical. Marital, family, broken children. Health-wise, everything just wrong. And so I asked, what happened? And she said everything started when her husband left her. Now, if you're not pro-husband or you're not husband, forget about this. No, you don't need a husband. I mean, you can do well. Having a husband is not a prerequisite for spiritual intelligence. I'm just giving an example. So she said, so what's the problem? Said, I wish my husband can come back. You mean, how long has he left? The last time I saw him was 1 year ago, or 1 year plus again. Since then, he has not been to the house. But you've not told anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody anything. I just wanted to it's just I couldn't take it again. That's why I decided to call you to come to the house, because I know we still have some kind of relationship, way of family. Let me, because if I don't say relationship, family, let's all not think that, because my wife might be on this call. I don't want trouble. I don't want them to deal with me when I'm done with this call. But family relationship. So I walk into the house, and then we are talking, and then we're praying, and I'm about to leave. And I say, before the end of this month, I hear it. Before the end of this month, this woman's husband that has not been around, has not stepped into the house in the last 1 year, will come back. So should I say it? What if I say that it doesn't happen? That's the problem with some of you. Some of the people that are high on spiritual intelligence are not afraid to speak. They open their mouth and say what they heard. You are busy hiding. You have a higher degree. You have a PhD in this spiritual thing, but you keep quiet because you're afraid. These guys have learned to speak what they hear over a period of time, particularly if it's not damaging anybody. And they're seeing results. So I say, okay, you know what? I'm glad I came here. I'm happy. I'll soon be leaving. But let me say this. Before the end of this month, your husband will come back home. And I leave. As I step out, I'm telling myself, why did I even say it? I should have kept quiet. Am I not giving this lady falsehood? Why? So I leave. I've forgotten about that episode. 1 week, I go to a camp. There's a camp, a Redeem camp. That's where I go to chill, away from the noise of Lagos. I'm just sitting down, and it's the end of the month. My mind is not even there. It's the end of the month. And I get a call. This is almost like 1 month later. Well, like between the month. I get a call from this lady. I pick the call. Hello, he's back. Who is back? I can't call you. I don't know what to say. In fact, I'm trying to make his food for him. I'm confused. Should I make a bath? Should I make rice? I don't know. Who is back? My husband just stepped into the house. I'm confused. He came into the house few hours to the last day of the end of the month. Is it physical? Is it coincidental? I don't know. But spiritual things are real. Thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm glad to be on this forum. God bless you.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, someone wants me to do it the normal way. Okay, let me do it normal way. My name is Emmanuel, and this is the end of my presentation. God bless you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so very much. We are so grateful you came on board this afternoon, because I know your yesterday was so busy. but against all odds, you still showed up. Sorry, you are spotlight. Thank you so much. Yeah. Against all odds, you still showed up. Thank you so very much. You know, while you were speaking, there were a few things that jumped at me and I was able to note them down. And I'll still find, like any of us who is on the call who would like to ask him some questions or a question, so please drop on the group and then we can pick it up from there. You mentioned the fact that we need to be ready and willing to learn from others, even people that are not of the same, I'll use this and I'm saying it carefully, people who are not of the same faith as ours. Because quite a number of us have been programmed, you know, to only listen to people who are of the same faith as you. And by so doing, we have limited our access to supernatural intelligence, as it were. I could remember there was usually at the beginning of every year, since I did goal scoring, I always write down who my teachers for the year would be. You know, the people that I'm going to take time to listen to them in and out of season. And this particular year, one of the persons that I chose to be my teacher was actually Sadhguru. And I listened to him, sought him out on YouTube, listened to a lot of his recordings because I needed to get some things from that man. Something I wouldn't have ordinarily done some few years ago. But because I know that I don't have all the knowledge, I don't have everything. And I know that for different seasons, God always puts the things that we need in the hands of some other people. And it is very important for us to be sensitive so as to be able to see those people, see the opportunities and learn from, you know, the people. And that year he was, you know, my go-to person, such that, you know, my husband also latched onto him and we were just drinking from him and just learning so much from him. So it's very important for us to be open-minded and be willing to learn from others. And also you mentioned the fact that when we choose to lean inwards, opportunities open to us. We are able to create openings that ordinarily we wouldn't have been able to access. So it's important for each and every one of us, you know, to make up our minds to do things differently than we have been doing things before now. 2024 is almost over. By now, you should have come up with your goals and your plans for 2025. Really, by now, it should have been tidied up and you're just, you know, trying to put one or two things together. By now, you should have named your year. How do you want 2025 to look like? You know, and begin to put things together that would help you to be able to achieve those things that you have set out to achieve in the year coming. So once again, sir, we are so grateful for sharing your experiences. Thank you so much. Yes, Brenda Bubu says, Emmanuel Ebright. Thank you so much, sir. The experiences you have shared are quite insightful and mind-opening. Indeed, they are. Thank you so very much. I hear someone say, Muslims hear God. I'm trying to read that. That one can't run away. To read that out. Taking time to just read the experience, the write-ups that we have here. Muslims hear God too. Me, I listen to them, to TC and PF. I've changed my perspective. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had an experience yesterday. I went for a conference, the Mad Marketing Conference. And where I sat, I couldn't really see ahead, you know. So I took my bag and I changed my seat. As I was walking up the staircase, I saw a fantastic Muslim sister. She just called me. She said, please come and sit beside me. You know, she was covered up and all. And, you know, I sat beside her and I had fantastic conversations with her. At some point, I was a bit tired. I wanted to leave because I had another event in the evening. And she said, please wait, don't go. Just wait, don't go. And you know, I was glad I did not leave when I wanted to leave. because this next session that came after that was so insightful. She actually saw me writing notes and it was like, you've not been writing so much notes before. And I said, this particular one is what I needed to listen to. So it's amazing, the people God has created that we look down on, depending on our religion. You may be a Muslim looking down on an atheist, you may be an atheist looking down on a Christian, or a Christian looking down on other people. It shouldn't be. We need to stop all that so that we can be able to take delivery of all that God has for each and every one of us, that He has deposited even in His children, all over the world. Let me see if I have any other thoughts here. Someone is asking if there is a book. I think last week there was a book that was recommended. I think it was The Biology of Belief. The Biology of Belief. We shared this on the group. I don't know if you are in the what's it called? In the daily broadcast group. We shared the book there, The Biology of Belief. And if you're not, just go on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. Yes. Do we have any other thing? Okay, yes, that's it. And if anyone can drop it here, would really appreciate, so that someone can pick it up. Yes, I think that's what we have on the chat today once again. Okay, so Sabuki has dropped another one, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, a great book that points you to understanding your personal journey. And it's always important. It's your personal journey, the pursuit of our dreams, listening to our hearts, trusting our intuition, trusting God, staying attuned to the soul of the world. Another one, so you're blessed. So many books are coming up. Another one is Spiritual Intelligence by Chris Vallotton. So you can just pick all those books and see the one that resonates so much with you. There was another experience I had a while ago. I was listening to Louise Hay, and a very fantastic book of hers. And there were a few things that she said in that book that didn't really resonate with me. If it were to be before now, I would have condemned the whole book and not read it. But I made up my mind. I won't, because of a 3% that I don't really resonate with, now lose the 97% that makes a lot of sense. So these are the things that we really need to begin to work on, even as individuals, open up our hearts to take on knowledge, open up our hearts to begin to delve into things that before now we haven't delved into, and they have limited us. They have limited us.